Whenever you're ready.
Did you know that 1 in 2 sexually active people will get a sexually transmitted disease before the age of 25? Since the beginning of the epidemic, more than 70 million people have been infected with the HIV virus, and about 35 million people have died of HIV. Many celebrities have admitted to having an STD or struggled with one, such as Trey Songz, Magic Johnson, and Natasha Lyonne. Some have even died from AIDS, such as infamous rapper Eazy-E from NWA. Today I will alert you of the effects of STDs. It is very important to be aware of the effects of STDs because it can potentially change your life forever and even kill you. People need to know how to protect themselves from getting these diseases. I will guide you through the types of STDs, the types of treatment, and the ways to protect yourself. The first step to protecting yourself is to learn more about STDs. For those of you who don't know what an STD is, it stands for sexually transmitted disease. An STD is an infectious disease that can be transmitted through sexual contact with someone who has the disease. This could be oral sex, anal sex, and through genital to genital contact. The most dangerous sexually transmitted disease is HIV, also known as human immunodeficiency virus. It leads to AIDS, which is short for acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It is the most advanced stage of HIV. HIV is a virus that weakens your immune system, making it hard to fight off other minor infections. It can be contracted through body fluids such as blood, vaginal fluids, semen fluids, and breast milk, through sexual contact, oral, and sharing infected needles. There are three stages in HIV. The first stage is the acute infection. Some of the symptoms are swollen glands in the throat, armpit, groan, headaches, fatigue, and muscle aches. These symptoms only last for a couple of weeks. The second stage is the asymptomatic period. In this stage, there are no symptoms, making it difficult for one to know they are infected. At this point, the immune system is becoming weaker and weaker, making it prone to AIDS. The last stage is developing AIDS, which is where the T cells drop below 200. Unfortunately, the disease is incurable. The only way to prevent the disease is to use condoms during sex, limit your sex partners, and get each other tested. And don't share needles, or just don't have sex. Hepatitis is another STD that leads to liver cancer. It is also contracted through body fluids and blood. The disease is very similar to HIV. In the first couple of weeks with the infection, one may show symptoms similar to a cold. After a while, there will be no visible symptoms. The disease has now become chronic and can lead to liver cancer. There is a vaccine to help prevent the disease. Human papillomavirus, HPV, is the most common STD. There are over 100 types of HPVs. Several types cause no symptoms, which are usually the ones linked to cancer. Several types cause genital warts. Usually the body gets rid of the infection on its own within a couple months. There are other ways to remove or treat warts, such as applying cream, gels, and solutions. They can also be frozen off with liquid nitrogen, burned off with acid, or surgically removed. There is a vaccine that prevents many types of HPVs that cause genital warts. HPV can be prevented by limiting your sex partners, using condoms, or just staying abstinent. HPV is so common that almost every sexually active person will get it once in their lives. Herpes is another common STD. Herpes is an infection that causes outbreaks of painful sores. There are two types of viruses, herpes simplex 1 and herpes simplex 2. Herpes simplex 1 usually causes sores, while herpes simplex 2 usually causes genital sores. It may take up to a couple of weeks for the symptoms to appear. Sometimes there aren't any symptoms. It can be transmitted through vaginal sex, anal sex, and oral sex when there are blisters or sores around the mouth. Unfortunately, there is no cure, but there is medication to prevent the outbreaks of sores. Condoms can help reduce the risk of infecting another person, but it's not 100% guaranteed. Pubic lice is an STD where parasitic insects infest the pubic area. Symptoms can be itching or blue spots. The white insects may be visible. The only way to get rid of the parasites are by specialized shampoos or solutions. Pubic lice is commonly spread through sexual contact, but can also be spread through sharing clothes or sleeping in the same bed with someone with the STD. The only way to prevent yourself from getting this infection is to stay abstinent or not have sex with someone infected. Condoms do not prevent it. Chlamydia is another common sexually transmitted disease caused by bacteria. It can be present in the cervix, urethra, vagina, rectum, and sometimes in the throat. Any kind of sexual contact, oral, vaginal, or anal, can spread the infection. Most of the people infected do not experience any symptoms at all, making it hard to be aware of the infection. Symptoms can vary from genital pain, unusual discharge, or burning when urinating. Chlamydia is curable and can be treated with antibiotics. Using condoms can prevent the disease or contracting the disease. Spreading the disease or contracting the disease. There are only a couple of many sexually transmitted diseases someone can contract. Some are curable and unfortunately some are not, and can result in life-changing experiences such as death. The best way to avoid this is just to not get the disease in the first place. Always get tested and your partner tested before you have sex. Always use a condom or simply just don't have sex at all. I hope this alerted you all to be careful and not trust anyone because it can really affect your lives and the ones around you.
All right, Victor.
So your hook caught my attention on how many people die through treating AIDS. I like your thematic statement. It was like a roadmap to your whole speech. Good, your voice was loud and clear. Although I do wish you would refer to the pictures while you were talking about the type of STDs. You were a little dependent on your notes. Okay, good. But other than that, you did a good job.
Okay. All right, let me start with the good stuff, and that's mostly at the beginning. I think you've got a nice statistical attention device that you're using to get us involved. You identify your topic very clearly. You lay out what the goal of the speech is pretty clearly, although the transition language was a little bit awkward, but I knew exactly what the purpose of the speech was. And then you've got a good justification material that you're presenting in the speech, how important it is. You've got a lot of data about the risks and frequency with which people contract the STDs, so I thought that was fine. There's not really a layout. Victor said he saw a roadmap of the speech, and I'm going, okay, well, I didn't know what topics were going to come up. I'm still a little bit surprised at not herpes, but hepatitis being in there, but I can see that there is a connection there, but it felt a little bit strange. We got 6 different supporting points that you're talking about. Each one gets a little bit of the same kind of information in each space, which makes it sound like you're, basically reading a brochure out loud. Here's the health department brochure on sexually transmitted diseases, and here are 6 of them, and they each have these particular categories, and thank you very much for coming in. That is the thing that is the biggest weakness of the speech. It's not engaging. Even though you have good information in the speech, it's really just about pieces of data as opposed to giving us an explanation, creating some interest in this, even developing a healthy respect for some of these sorts of things, and getting us to relate to it in an important way. It sounds perfunctory, and I think that is the biggest weakness of the speech. The visual materials, some of them I thought were fine. The The visual materials on the HPV, for instance, a little bit disturbing, but we know what you're talking about. The visual on herpes kind of explains what the outbreaks look like, and there's a little bit of information there. The HIV information that you have with the cells and the T cells and the information about chlamydia, which is basically a picture of a cell, that doesn't do me any good at all. I didn't understand why it was there and what it was doing in the presentation. The only thing that it helped do is separate the subject a little bit. And I think that there are probably some other things that would have worked a little bit better on those particular points. All right. I always feel bad when I say something about pronunciation because it makes it sound like I'm judging you as a human being, and I'm not judging you as a human being, but you just need to be familiar, especially if it's a term that's going to be used in your speech. Deficiency is the word, human immune deficiency disease. And I'm not sure I could even say the way you said it. It just sounded odd when you said it. It was a little bit strange, that kind of thing. And so most people are going to know that, and as a result, you're going to sound like you don't know as much as they do, and they're going to say, well, why am I listening to you? Because you can't even say the name of the thing that you're talking about. So you got to be careful about that. And I know sometimes you're just reading material, you're not thinking about it, not putting it into a context, but you need to put it into a context because it's not just about reading data. All right, thank you. Now you can go.